Welcome everyone to Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media. Joined today by Tracey. I know I'm going to mess up your last name, so you better introduce
Right.
yourself to the audience. Okay.
My name is Tracey Puckhaber. Would you have been close pronouncing?
I think I would have been close. Yeah, yeah. It's you never know when you get a bunch of consonants together. They can
Yeah.
sound a lot of different ways.
Oh
So.
yeah. I went from a 5-letter last name to a 8 or 9, so I feel that.
Tracey, I also see you have a bunch of letters next to your name on the Zoom thing. Do those stand for anything notable?
I do, yes. So the MS is Masters of Science.
Okay.
So I did my master's at Malloy College, which I think now is actually Malloy University, in
Okay.
Rockwell Center on Long Island.
Oh, okay.
And then the MTBC is I am a music therapist, so it's
Mm,
music therapist board certified. So in
okay.
order to be a music therapist who practices, one must be board certified.
Okay. All right. And I know we're going to get into a little bit about the music therapy here
Yeah.
first, but I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about Nourishing Minds
Mm-hmm.
Tutoring and what they do. So, can you give us kind of the 30,000-foot view of Nourishing Minds?
Sure. So Nourishing Minds, I've been with Nourishing Minds since January of 24,
Hmm.
and I am their resident music therapist, their only music therapist at the moment.
Okay.
So I do music therapy. I've done some tutoring with them as well. So the one of the I feel like the best things about Nourishing Minds is that there is no brick and mortar
Hmm.
building. So it's really just word of mouth, it's referrals, it's networking, it's virtual, it's in person. We work from ages pre-K through college. We do college prep, we do test prep. We have a bunch of contracts with school districts. So if there's issues with a kiddo being in school, whether it's behavioral or medical, and they are not able to be in school presently, that's where we come in. And we provide tutoring in either their home or at a library or at the school sometimes too.
Very nice. And obviously, for people that listen to the show on a regular basis, Chris has been on a few times over the last couple of years.
Yes, we've talked about it.
Yeah, were you guys talking
Yeah,
about it? Yeah.
he said how he's never watched himself on one of these. He always makes Lauren, his wife, watch.
Yeah. I mean, I can attest to that. I have a real tough time going back through and listening to our episodes
Yeah.
and watching them. And yeah, we're just all so self-critical, I feel
Oh
like.
yeah,
You
100%.
know, I
100%.
cringe every
Yep.
time I
Yep.
every time
Yep.
I watch myself. So
Yep.
um
And then
so
additionally to music therapy, for Nourishing Minds, I've also recently taken on the role of business development representative. So
oh,
I've taken some stuff off of Chris's plate. So like some of the admin stuff. So onboarding and all those kinds of things.
very nice. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I've seen you at some networking events and
Yep.
getting out there in the community, and
Yep.
it's great. I know. I think I saw you at the Adirondack Chamber event, right? A few months back.
Yes, July. That was my first one.
Yeah.
Yes.
How'd it go?
It felt like dating 101. It felt like it felt like a huge dating scene. It was very odd, honestly. It
Yeah.
was good. I went to the one on last week at the Heisman Court,
Yeah.
and it was better. There was actually one of the girls that was kind of standing on her own, and I literally just beeline to her, and I was like, "I was you a couple months ago, so let's chat."
Yeah. Yeah. Those first ones can be a little rough because it's
Yeah,
you're getting out there, and to your point, right? It's kind of like the dating scene. Like it's like
yeah,
being at a bar and having to
yeah,
meet people.
yeah,
And but I do enjoy the Adirondack Chamber events. They're very well attended, and
yeah.
I'm sure you probably found what I know I've always found, is everyone's very inviting and
Oh yeah,
welcoming. And
yeah, definitely.
so shout out to those guys, Trisha
Yeah,
and Amanda and Ava, and they do a great
absolutely.
job.
They do. They do.
So let's talk about music therapy.
Sure.
What
Um,
what is it?
so music therapy, have you heard of it before?
I have,
Okay.
but I still don't know what it is.
So I will tell you how I found out about music therapy. I was 16 years old. I was at a bar with my parents. And there was this like eyewitness news special that was on about music therapy. And it was who I now know, DeForia Lane. She is one of our pioneers of music therapy. And she had on a teal, purple, and black dress, and she was leading around a bunch of little kiddos with a tambourine. And they talked about what music therapy was. And I was a junior or sophomore in high school. And I went up to my parents and I said, that's what I want to do. And here I am many years later doing, I won't say how many years, but yeah. So music therapy is, it is, I feel like the four most important words for music therapy are that it's clinical, that it's evidence-based, that there's a therapeutic relationship aspect to it, and it is led by a credentialed professional. So the actual definition, if you will, is music therapy is the clinical and evidence-based use of music interventions to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship by a credentialed professional. So, you know, a lot of other professionals will, you know, say, oh, I do music therapy. I use music therapy in my sessions. But, you know, if you don't have that MTBC after your name, and I worked very hard for all those letters after my name, then it's not actual music therapy. So one of the things that I probably had the hardest time with for my master's was our research class. I mean, if you do research, I feel like you really have to like research in order to like find it enjoyable. And it was definitely tough. But that research aspect of it is where we have all of our evidence of how important and how useful music therapy actually is.
So what kinds of things do you do in music therapy?
So so through Nourishing Minds, I've been doing, it's called Tracey's Twinkle Tunes. So it's a program at the Saratoga Children's Museum, and it's for kiddos 3 and under. We've been doing a 6-week pilot. Tomorrow is actually our 6th week.
Nice.
So it's for walking versus not walking kids. And so it's basically, you know, I walk into a session and even in my hello song, I'm assessing all the things. I'm assessing their affect. I'm assessing whether or not they know their name. I'm assessing, you know, can this kiddo walk? Does this kiddo have some physical limitations? Can they make eye contact? So you're really assessing all of those things upon meeting clients. And then we take that information and then design music sessions for either individuals or groups based on whatever the needs are of the client. So we can use improvisation, we can use lyric analysis, we can use music and imagery, we do guided imagery, music listening, we do music-based learning. I do a lot of, I also work at Building Kids in Queensbury. It's daycare through 5 years old, and I do a lot of books. So I sing a lot of books. So you're tying in the education component, the literacy component to music as well.
So that's kind of fascinating. And I kind of know this, you know, we were talking, I think before we started recording, I've got a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And I know that when we are doing activities with him that involves singing, he typically has a better recall on that information. And like even today we're just doing his ABCs and he automatically just starts singing them. So I'm fascinated by like, what is the connection or how does it work that music helps them to learn the information or recall the information or understand the information more?
And the thing that I love the most is, you know, can you name anybody that you know that does not like music? And I just feel like there's just that connection in the brain that music sparks something different in anybody, whether it's kiddos or adults. And it just kind of changes the way that they think about it and changes the way that they are able to approach it.
And I just really curious about this. So you had mentioned with some of the kids that you're doing the music therapy for, they're not walking yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, tell me about like, let's unpack that a little bit. Cause I'm just,
Yeah.
the music therapy like helps them to walk sooner or helps.
I mean, it's not really a matter of like, sooner or later or anything. So the younger group that I have, they are 16-month triplets, and just to see their engagement and their focus. And, when you think of 16-month-olds, even when your son was 16 months, how long were you able to get him to focus for any one period of time?
Yeah, like 2 seconds.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, I mean, I think our longest session was maybe 40 minutes, and that's, with them being engaged. So, I'm using the music, and a lot of what we do when I sing songs, I will leave space. So they kind of are incorporating, their communication and their language with song. So ABCs, it kind of has that natural progression, that natural plateau of the phrase. So you kind of leave that last letter, and, for the most part, kiddos will answer you. And in terms of like walking, I do a lot of movement songs. We do a lot of jumping, hopping, walking, and just kind of, you have to make it fun. You have to make it inviting. And one of the things that we talked about a few weeks ago in our Gold Star group was how, as music therapists, we have to be on all the time. Like, we can't have an off day because the clients will pick it up, especially kiddos. They will pick up your lack of focus, if you will. And you have to be present all the time.
Yeah, I bet. Especially with that age group. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
You zone out for 30 seconds, man. They're across the room. They're on to something else.
Yep.
So I think what I heard from you so far is you work with a lot of younger kids, but also you can work with older kids as well. What are some of the like common reasons that you might be brought in to work with a kid with music therapy?
We work in a lot with special education. Before my husband and I moved up here in 2022, we were from Long Island originally. I worked at a special needs preschool. So there were a lot of language, communication, self-awareness, self-identification. And I actually, when I did my internship many moons ago, I started at Schneider Children's Hospital, which is now Cohen's, I believe, on Long Island. And my supervisor, like 2 weeks before I was supposed to start, my supervisor blew out both of his knees. So I started without him, and I just kind of was shadowed child life and kind of got the ins and the outs of the hospital. And then it just kind of, other things happened. His father had passed away. He had to have resurgery. And at that point, they were like, hey, you can't really stay without a supervisor. So I ended up going to Alternatives for Children in East Setauket on Long Island. And I worked with Beth Schwartz, who has been my mentor. We actually were just texting like an hour ago when I was telling her about this podcast. And I remember one of the things that she said to me when I first started was, sometimes you're going to be the music therapist. Sometimes you're going to be the mom. Sometimes you're going to be the friend. Sometimes you're going to be the boogie wiper. And, part of working with the special needs kids and even just kiddos in general is, I feel like you just have to be present with them. And, I sing with them. I'm at their level. I don't sing at them.
Mhm.
So a lot of the kiddos that I saw at the special needs school was we did a lot with communication and language, and even just social awareness and um, safely being in a space and understanding your body and your friends' bodies.
So is it the fact that you're putting the messaging into a musical format? Is that the method of action? Like that's the thing that really makes it work or is there something else going on?
Kind of. I feel like it's more of, we're using music as our tool. So we're using, we can do the same thing as a speech therapist, but we just use music as our way in, basically.
Mhm.
So we use music to work on the same goals and objectives that the speech therapist will work on, or that the occupational therapist will work on, or that the regular teacher is working on. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I'm just trying to I'm just trying to understand when someone would like say, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this, whatever it is,
Yeah.
with my child,
Yeah.
and I should consider looking at a music therapist to help with this."
Um, any kiddo, any adult who likes music, honestly. I mean, we work with children, we work with adolescents, both neurotypical and neurodivergent. We work in schools and hospitals, mental health facilities. There's a lot of work done with music therapy and the NICU to regulate breathing, um, developmental and learning disabilities, autism, and then on the adults and geriatric side, I used to work at a nursing home. So there was Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, um, traumatic brain injuries, mental health, labor and delivery. I know when I was pregnant with Brady, I made several playlists on my phone for specific parts of labor.
Mhm.
Substance abuse, developmental and learning disabilities. There's really, it's there's so many places that we can do good with music therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I'm like as you say all that stuff, it's like it really sounds like it can be a part of therapy or treatment for a lot of different things.
Yeah,
Is there anything it doesn't help with?
I don't know. And we go back to music is the universal language,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've ever in my 20 plus years, I don't think I've ever met um, anybody that really doesn't respond in some way to music.
So tell me a little bit more about someone comes to you, they're like, "Hey, my child has, I don't know, maybe they're delayed speech or
Mhm.
something, right? Like what are the kinds of things that you're going to do for those people?"
For delayed speech, I would take I mean, I'm assuming we're talking like early intervention, like little kiddos, like 1, 2 years old, 3 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, I asked that one because I remember reading a piece about coming through COVID. A lot of
Yeah.
kids had delayed speech because,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, whether it was
Yep.
lack of socialization or masks or all of it or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was that whole crew of kids that came through that at a certain age that they high percentage of them are dealing with delayed speech.
Right.
I just thought that might be something that
Yeah.
would more
Yeah,
applicable.
yeah, yeah. So, a lot of I in my own practice,
Mhm.
I will start with more familiar songs for those age ranges. So I would do Wheels on the Bus, I would do ABCs, and just kind of get a sense of what they're able to contribute.
Mhm.
Um, and then kind of take it from there. So that would be, and then I would take, any of the, like the Wheels on the Bus, you're using your arms, you're kind of lifting. Um, you're identifying body parts if you do Happy You Know It. And then I move on to the non-familiar songs. more like the movement songs where I'm going to use jump and stomp your feet, and I'm looking to see if they're able to do that well safely, but just to see if they're, their gait and their um physical, if there is any physical limitations, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And then what are the kinds of outcomes that you're looking for in those situations?
Slow and steady. We're really just looking for, especially with, if there's a speech delay, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the first session. You have to build that back to the first thing I mentioned about the therapeutic relationship. You have to build a rapport, you have to build trust. So you're kind of taking each session and trying to build on what you did in the previous session. So I'm looking for, however many sessions in, I'm looking for, the color identification or the numbers or the letters, or for them to increase their attention, their focus.
Yeah, how do you do that, Tracey? That's a $1 million question, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, when I find it out, I'll let everybody know. Yeah, I don't, with the therapeutic relationship, I remember, I think I was at the school that I was at for maybe a year or so, and one of the parents had come to pick up their daughter, and I had some kind of music, something on me, my guitar or something, and she stopped me and she said, "Are you Miss Tracey?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, my daughter, she loves you. She pretends to be you when she's at home. Like she'll conduct her music therapy session, and she'll do music with all her stuffies." And that was awesome. That's kind of like those are the reasons that we do what we do, to hear those stories,
And then what about working with older kids? So, let's say maybe the tweens or
Yeah.
early teens. What are some common things that you're working with those age level kids on?
I feel like for those tweens, those teenager kiddos, probably emotional regulation, emotional identification. I worked when I did my internship at the Children's Hospital. We worked with an eating disorder group, and we did lyric analysis with them every week. So we would take a new song, and it's amazing how kiddos are able to, and it was a children's hospital, so they're under a certain age. They're in that teen age range, but it's amazing to be able to see the conversation that kind of comes up when you're doing something like that. And you kind of, I don't know if you've ever listened to a song that you know so well, and then you hear it acoustically, or you hear it sung by somebody else, and it just kind of, you hear it different, and it means something different. And just to be able to go through, with lyric analysis, to be able to go through phrases or words that kind of mean something to you, and then you're able to kind of take that into your life and carry that over into how you relate to people, and how you are able to identify emotions and to express yourself, really.
And you said what kind of analysis?
Lyric analysis.
Lyric analysis.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, it's not so much about singing songs like it is with the younger kids. It's more about using the music as a tool to help them kind of self-analyze. Would that be that?
Yeah, I remember when I did my undergrad at Berklee College of Music in Boston, and I remember for our percussion class, we had to do something for our final, and I didn't really know what I was doing until the day before. And I remember thinking about friends of ours that they just they fought all the time, And I remember I had everybody, I mean, there were like 4 of us in the class, I think. So everybody had a drum and everybody had their backs to each other. So there was no eye contact. You couldn't see what anyone was doing. You just had to use your ears and listen. And it's amazing how fast you just kind of connected through the music and, through the drumming.
It's interesting. It's interesting that it has all these different uses across all different modalities, right?
Yeah.
Like that is absolutely wild.
Right.
So let's talk about how we bring this into with Nourishing Minds. So tell me a little bit about, how did it come to be that, Nourishing Minds was like, hey, let's add music therapy to our repertoire of tutoring
of people. Yeah. So he had put an ad out. There was one particular kiddo who really responded to music very well, and at the time was home because I believe there was no program that met his needs. And they were just looking for, like an hour a week to work with him. And he did great. That was my intro to Nourishing Minds and music therapy. And then from there, I kind of went on. And one thing that Chris will always say is, music, whether it's actual music therapy that I'm doing or tutoring, music has always been my end. Music is always the way that I'm able to establish rapport and establish relationship because, she has a keyboard. Like, what are we gonna do with that? Can I see it? And then, just like that, it works. And then lately there's just up here, there's kind of a shortage of speech therapists and, it's just another thing to offer school districts where, we don't have a speech therapist, but hey, I have this music therapist. Would they be interested? And I can work on speech just as well as a speech therapist could, differently, but it's a goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does it work now? So like, obviously I know Nourishing Minds offers both in-person and like Zoom.
Virtual,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Virtual.
Yep.
Tutoring sessions. So do you do like music therapy sessions via the virtual world as well, or?
I have done it before. There was one kiddo that I did do it with. I personally don't prefer it. Especially for the first few meetings, I feel like that in-person connection really has to be in person,
Yeah.
It's hard to do music therapy sometimes when it's a new kiddo or at any age, a new client in general.
Yeah.
And that's from my preference, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just, from a bonding and rapport standpoint, which obviously is very important in what you're doing. It's not impossible, but it is a lot harder when you're not in the same room and face to face, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And even during COVID, when I was at the school, we did music via Zoom, but I had already been working with all those kiddos for 6 or 7 months. So it's not like, it's different than walking in blind, not really knowing anything about them not knowing anything about you, especially with kids.
Yeah.
And even then, even knowing them, it was still hard. It was still hard to make them sit, in front of a computer, especially when they're used to being in person and they're used to interacting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those younger kids especially, right? Like,
yeah.
I know like my 5-year-old, if he's watching a show on television, he's only half watching it, right? Like also playing with his cars or his trains and doing all stuff. And
Yep. My son he'll sit for a little while. He'll sit for like 15, 20 minutes, depending upon what it is. But a lot of times he'll just kind of like, it'll be on in the background in the periphery and he'll kind of stop and look up sometimes, but then just keeps going and doing what he's doing.
Yeah. So do you play like all instruments?
My principal is piano.
Okay.
And I sing and I play the organ. I've been playing in churches since I was 16. I fill in up here every now and again. And guitar. I'm not the most adept at guitar because my hands are pretty small, but I make it work. And I feel like that was the one thing that COVID helped me with, was kind of finding the guitar again and just getting more comfortable with playing and just trying out different songs, just to see what worked and what didn't.
As far as like with the kids and stuff, you're saying?
Yeah, and even just like my comfort level on the guitar has
Yeah.
definitely increased. I mean, we had to take, I think we did 2 semesters in undergrad. But piano was always my principal. Piano was my comfort. For me, it's easier for me. I know more about the piano than, I mean, for the guitar with the size of my hand, I mean, I kind of have 2 chords in my pocket and
Right.
2 chord progressions, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But the kids don't know that. Nobody knows that.
Right. They don't know that you're hammering C and G for
exactly. I play in D for pretty much every song. So.
a D play. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
As someone who plays a little bit of guitar very horribly, I am always fascinated by people that are able to play any instrument for that matter.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just such a wild talent, and how some people can just understand it is
Mm-hmm.
and easily. My son, my oldest son is one of those people. He's amazing. He basically has taught himself a few different instruments at this point, and
That's great.
And I'm just always amazed by it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And my grandma used to play the piano, and they lived down the street from us. And my aunt and uncle, my 2 cousins, they were at the other end of the street. So, my grandparents were in the middle, and that was kind of like our meeting point. And our bus stop actually was like right down the street from their house. So we would often go there after school, and that's kind of how I fell in love with the piano. And it wasn't until, I mean, not recently, but it wasn't until like 5-10 years ago that I went to sit down. My grandma used to play Darktown Starters Ball for 20s or 30s. And I sat down to play it, and I was like, it doesn't sound how Natty used to play it. And my mom was like, well, she didn't read music. And it was like, wait, what? I had no idea at the time that she didn't play music, and she just kind of comped the chords and knew the melody and played the melody. And then, here I sit down and try to play, and I was like, well, that's not what she played.
That's interesting. Yeah, I actually trying to remember what song it was. But when my son was much younger, and he took lessons for like maybe a year, and I remember I taught him how to play a song on guitar, and then he went to one of his music lessons, and his teacher was like, "Yeah, that's not how you play that song." I was like, lots of ways to skin a cat, as
right.
they say.
Did he throw you under the bus and tell him that?
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Well, that's what my dad showed me. I'm like, oh.
That's what he said.
I don't know, right? I don't know if I'm the best teacher, apparently.
Right.
So I know that we're getting short on time, but and I don't want to keep you here all day. I'm sure you've got other things to do. But if you were going to tell our listening audience, one thing about music therapy, what would it be?
Ooh, jeez, one thing.
I know it's tough.
Nope,
You got one opportunity.
I think every music therapist that I've met just has a passion. I'm gonna get all teary-eyed. We have a passion for what we do. We love music, and we love helping people, and that's kind of why I fell in love with music therapy when I was 16, because it just encompassed all the things that I want to do in life, and I can do it with music and helping people. And I feel like music therapy found me. And I love what I do.
Yeah. It sounds like it found you. That's a pretty cool story about seeing that when you're 16. And then I don't know many 16-year-olds that fall through with what their 16-year-old goal was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I only looked at colleges that had music therapy. I mean, I only looked at a couple, but yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Tracey, if people want to learn more about you, about Nourishing Minds and the different offerings that are out there, where do they find you guys?
NourishingMindsTutoring.com. They could also shoot me an email at Tracey, TRACEY, at NourishingMindsTutoring.com.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate the
Thanks for
time.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and of course, thanks everybody for listening. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And of course, you can find our episode listings and so much more at buyinglocal.us. I hope everybody will check us out. Leave us a review, please. Subscribe, like, do all the things that they
All the
let you
things.
do on those channels, right? All the things.
All the things.
All the things. Thanks, everybody.